This video today is coming to you from Icy Strait Point, Alaska. This is a great port to book an excursion. In fact, some of my friends booked whale watching excursion in Icy Strait Point this time while I was here, and they had probably the best experience ever whale watching today. And I will put a link in the description below of the vendor she used in case you would like to book in Icy Strait Point as well. This time my goal was to just be spontaneous, see what there is to do, look for possible mobility challenges, what you would see as you get off the ship in the dock, so that you'll be prepared for your trip to Icy Strait Point. So come along with me today. Today we're at Icy Strait Point. It's a little bit cloudy. In fact, it's a whole lot cloudy. Overcast, chance of rain all day. So let's go see what we can do out at Icy Strait Point. Before we venture outside, let's take a look at the port area to see what you'll see as you dock. This is the dock below. Our ship is the Quantum of the Seas, and she is huge, extending way out there, so far that a rowboat has to bring the ropes from the Quantum to the dock crew in order to fully secure the ship. There's an excursion boat tied up on the other side of the pier and a long bridgeway from the pier to the land. The first section of this pedestrian bridgeway is a very steep ramp, and it is quite a long walk to the main entrance. If we look further forward, you can see another dock here at Icy Strait Point. A second cruise ship can dock there, and we will get a closer look at that dock a little later in the video in case you are ever docked there and need to figure out the lay of the land. All right, I realize I am not a fashion model by any stretch of the means, but I do want to show you that when I go out into Alaska, I like a waterproof outer layer. I have a couple of layers on underneath. This particular jacket has a little bit of a lining to keep me warm. We're here near the end of May, so it's still really chilly outside. And I like having the layers for that extra warmth. I also have some waterproof hiking shoes on today. I'm not really doing a lot of hiking, but there are gravel pathways here in Icy Strait Point, and I know these shoes will give me more traction. I also own some waterproof pants. Today I'm just wearing jeans, but I'm hoping that I won't regret that and come back as a soggy mess. There are buildings here in Icy Strait Point, and I can always duck into one if I need to. I have my beanie in my pocket, so if it's really chilly outside, I can put that on. And then my hood on this jacket does come around and cover my face really well, and I can cinch it up if I need to protect myself a little bit more from the rain. All right, time to go explore. I have just made it off the ship, and I'm at this point right here. There's a handy sign telling you how far the walk is to various spots of interest. Those times are for the average healthy adult who doesn't get sidetracked taking pictures. There's also a sign advertising the Sky Glider gondola and the price to ride. Let's start up the ramp. First thing we see is a sign that says it is a non-smoking property. You're going to see this sign a lot. And people can only smoke in designated smoking areas. The ramp is definitely on an incline, but the floor is textured so that even when it is wet and rainy, the surface is not slippery. Good thing too, because I'm getting a little wet right now with some light rain. There's a strategic bench right there at the top of the ramp for those who might need it after making that climb. I make it to the top of the ramp and the bridge levels off here. Once again, they remind you it's a non-smoking property. Already people are enjoying the scenery and stopping to take pictures. I'm through the second section, and it is uncovered for a few steps before making the turn onto the last section. There's a little sign listing some of the things you can do in port and on land, and in the distance there are people starting to hike one of the trails. Watch for bears. On this last section there's another ramp, going down this time. Finally, I can see the entrance to Icy Strait Point, a restaurant, and the coastline along the bay. Immediately inside the building, there is a desk on the right for purchasing tickets to the Sky Peak Gondola, the world's largest zipline, and for a whale and marine mammal cruise. Immediately on the left is a gift shop. In the center are interesting displays, and up ahead are doors 2, 3, and 4, which are meeting locations for various tours.
There's also a snack bar and a coffee shop here in this building. Exiting the building here brings us to the central hub of activity and a large map of the area. I took a photo of this map so that I could refer to it on my phone as I explore the area. Beyond that is a wet picnic area. No one is using it right now, but I could see it being used well on pretty days. But the fire pit is welcoming on this damp, chilly morning. There is a sign to a nature trail. We will come back to explore that later. And another sign for no smoking in case you've already missed it. I think I'm going to keep up with how many no smoking signs I see. All the signage on the property is very great. Let's avoid the cannery for now and follow the path to the excursion hub. I did not book an excursion, but if you do, you will probably catch that excursion at the excursion hub, unless your directions tell you something different. I thought for a minute that the seating area here is the hub, but that is not the case. The sign says the hub is 2 more minutes. I'm very glad I have on my waterproof hiking shoes. This gravel pathway puddles in places, and there are several potholes of varying depths. So I find myself looking down on occasion to be sure my shoes don't get too gross. This woman on the side of the path is trying to find the driest path she can. We stopped and chatted for a moment. She was not too happy that she did not know these walking conditions to get to the excursion she booked. She regretted her shoe choice, sandals with socks. That doesn't work well here at Icy Strait Point. The next lady I see is demonstrating why they need multiple warning signs. She's clearly entering the path that says, "Do not enter." 2 minutes? That's very subjective. It's an okay walk if you're prepared for it. Finally, after a bend in the path, the excursion hub comes into sight. There's a covered waiting area and a circular drive for the excursion vehicles as they pick up passengers. And people can watch the zipliners as they wait. Let's head toward the cannery now. The gravel ends and a boardwalk begins, leading up to the whale statue. I hope this whale is telling all her friends in the water to come up and say hello to us. This is one of the main photo op places here in Icy Strait Point, so of course a selfie is in order. I can officially say I saw a whale. As we walk down the boardwalk, I noticed some private residences here. There's a staircase down to the rocky beach, and people have attempted their rock stacking skills. Not quite as successfully as the ones we saw one time in Mexico. Tucked away in here is a little cemetery. Most people are prepared with their rain gear, and they tuck their heads as they walk, but it is a mild rain and completely manageable. On the left is the Cookhouse Restaurant. They have fish and chips, burgers, soups, and sides, but it is still too early for me for lunch. Right now they're serving breakfast. I ate breakfast on the ship, but I'm planning to eat something local a little later. Several paths to choose. Let's go through the museum first. Almost the perfect museum for anyone. If you are the type who wants to read all the information and absorb every little detail, there are lots of informational signs and pictures. There are also some interactive areas. Kids would love opening all the little doors. And there are eye-catching displays for people like me who tend to enjoy seeing the displays and reading just the info that's most intriguing. It's pretty strategic that the museum is split up some. We leave this part of the museum to enter a gift shop. But more museum ahead. You can learn all about the various species of salmon, their spawning, and the life cycle. But the life cycle definitely ends here at the cannery. First thing is the guillotine. Not to worry, these are only displays of fish. There are no dead fish here and no concern of a fishy smell in the Cannery Museum. But it looks pretty realistic. They chop off their heads, then clean them up. Then they are processed and packaged into cans. It's not a working cannery, but the displays and videos do show the process quite well. The cans are pressure sealed and then they're ready to go to market. Here are more shopping opportunities before the exit door. Exiting the museum brings us to a second courtyard with little red buildings to explore. Up ahead is Little Jim's Donuts, a must-do in Icy Strait Point when it opens. The building to the right is the Kayak Center. If you booked a kayaking excursion through the ship, you would gear up here. Behind and to the left of Lil Jen's is a ticket booth, and the larger building is the Tribal Dance Theater. The ticket booth sells tickets to the Tribal Dance Show as well as tickets to a shuttle into the small town of Hoonah, which is only a mile and a half away. The Hoonah shuttle is an old school bus. I got my tickets to the 10 a.m. show and enjoy sitting on the bench in the front of the theater and people watching until showtime. I start to see a group come toward the building and realize that this is an excursion group that includes the show as part of their excursion. The theater has wooden seating, but fortunately there are cushions to make us more comfortable. The play recounts their tribal history featuring the raven. We are welcomed and told that filming is not allowed for most of the show. However, later in the show, they will teach us a song and we can film then. The donut shop has opened. There are so many good flavors to choose from. I decide on a half dozen of the Mounds donuts. Proceeds support the Salvation Army. It always tickles me how many different ways people spell Shirley. 6 little bite-sized bits of scrumptiousness. The perfect snack. Tucked away behind the Tribal Theater is a smoking area. After the show, I went back to the shoreline to walk along the beach. One of the locals told me that whales often appear right out in the bay. He said to watch where the whale watching boats go, and when the birds start circling, you will likely see whales. Sure enough, I could zoom in and have a good look at the whale. Actually, several whales. And just by waiting long enough, I got the whale tail shot that I was hoping for. Back on the ship, my husband was enjoying the same show from our starboard side balcony with his binoculars. Little did I know, but a friend of mine was on her port side balcony and was treated to seeing a whole group of whales bubble feeding right outside her stateroom.
Oh!
Well, the whales moved on from here, so I think I will too. It is time for some lunch, and I'm heading to the crab house. Lots of good choices are on the menu, but the smoked salmon chowder is calling my name. You order at the counter, and they bring the food to you. Yum, this looks delicious. Big chunks of smoked salmon and potatoes. I stir in some included oyster crackers.
Ooh, that's good.
Now that I'm warmed and filled, it's time to explore some more. Rather than taking the shuttle, one can walk or jog the 1.5 miles to Hoonah along the Veterans Memorial Seawalk. I did the shuttle to Hoonah once before. It's a small village, lots of fishing boats. A few smaller cruise ships will sometimes dock in Hoonah, but more and more they're opting for Icy Strait Point instead. This time I'm not going to go into Hoonah, but you can see how you can if you would like to go into Hoonah. I opted to see more of Icy Strait Point. Decided to go back and check out the gondola ride. The green gondola transporter is not to be confused with the sky glider gondola that you pay for. This free gondola is about a 4-minute ride that takes you to the other dock area that I showed you earlier. It travels above the nature trail and over the ropes course. And if I look behind me, the view through this window is a little clearer. The gondola provides a peaceful, scenic ride through the woods, and you can ride it as many times as you want to, free of charge. It brings us to the other side where you find the other cruise ship dock. Fortunately for us, we are the only ship in port today, so they do not have that dock open to walk out on. But it sure makes the crowds lower for us. A gift shop is here, and an information and tour building, and the entrance to the Sky Peak gondola. So you will have to take the free gondola if you purchase the Sky Peak gondola. I decided not to invest the $50 today to ride that, since it's a cloudy, rainy day, but I understand there is a trail and there are some lovely scenic views to be had from the top of the mountain. Rather than riding the gondola back to where I started, I decided to take the nature trail back. A variety of large and small rocks are all along this gravel path, so watch your footing. There are lots of hills and dips. This trail provides some good exercise, and there are some benches along the way to rest or just sit and enjoy the quiet. Occasionally on the path, there are little bits of information. As I get nearer the end of the trail, I can see the gondola through the trees and some of the sections of the ropes course. I was just wondering about the information for the ropes course and then happened on this sign explaining the levels for ages 7 through 11 and for 12 and up. There are 4 courses, including 13 ziplines, and you can spend 2.5 hours on your pass, or the younger kids can have an all-day pass on the items that they use. The maximum weight limit is 250 pounds, and closed-toe shoes are required. Under 18 has to have adult supervision at all times at a ratio of at least 1 adult for every 3 minors. And every minor has to have a waiver signed by a parent or legal guardian. All the photographic equipment you bring with you has to be on a lanyard when you're on the ropes course. I'm back on board the ship now, watching the last few guests making their way back. It was a great full day exploring Icy Strait without a plan. My next video will be about Endicott Arm and Dawes Glacier. Watch for that video coming next. This is Shirley with Shirley's Journeys, and I hope all of your journeys are pleasant ones.